Hello everyone, this is Daniel, aka Bbeltdan, and welcome to another episode where I am building a Skeksis head. This head is more or less kind of a puppet, kind of reminiscent of the actual Skeksis puppets that we saw in the movie The Dark Crystal, and what we're going to be seeing, I believe, in the upcoming series, The Dark Crystal, The Age of Resistance. It is going to be a cable operated puppet with the option of me being able to use hand movements to manipulate the neck and the hand as well, kind of like traditional puppets, but I could also swap that out to have a fully cable operated head as well. This episode is picking up almost exactly where I left off in the last episode, and I've started skinning the lower jaw. As we can see here, I am using that kind of reptilian texture that we see. This was very easy because there's nothing real special about this particular section of the jaw in regards to this material. The back portion, that's a different story, which we'll touch a little bit later. We are getting very close to actually having this to a near finished state. All I got to do from this point on is to finish skinning it, continue working out some of the little errors that I'm having with a couple of the control points, making the neck, and other than that, it's at a point where I can actually say it's finished. It's not to where it is completed, if that makes any sense, because I still got to make another control arm or control mechanism, put it in this way, maybe completed to the point to where I could say that we're done with the series, but not finished to where it's exactly where I want it to be, to where I could probably finish all that type of stuff off screen and then come back with a final video showing you, all right, now it's all finished and completed. So, but yeah, we're getting a lot closer to where it is almost done. But now I'm going to go ahead and start putting the top portion on. Just like I did with these eye details, I went ahead and created some templates by using masking tape to cover the area, trimming it up into the pattern that I want, pulling it off, transferring it to paper that's a little bit more sturdier, and then transferring that design to a piece of cloth, which is then going to be the material that is going to be actually put onto the Skeksis itself. Now, I've trimmed it a little bit longer because it's always better for you to have too much and take away than to not have enough and try to add on. And I'm going to have to do some experimenting with this because on this side here, I have the snarling action right here, complement to this one cable and this spring. So I need to try to figure out the best way for me to take this piece of material and drape it over the beak in such a way to where it is still anchored down, but at the same time it has the freedom to move and to flex as I try to snarl it. So this side is going to be pretty much easy. I just glue it on. Once I get up to here, I'm going to have to kind of experiment. Now I have an idea of how I'm going to do that. Is pretty much just simply take this and fold it over like so, creating kind of a pocket where the spring sits in. And I want to try to get it to where it is tight enough to where when the spring, as soon as it starts to move, it'll immediately pull this material, but loose enough to where it's not sitting too tight on the spring, because I don't want it to where this spring is bulging out to where you can actually see the spring coming out from the material. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm going to be trying and tackling that next. Now I don't have the front portion of the beak done because this is actually going to have kind of a metallic look, because with this character, he's seen a lot of wars. That's his job, is that he's kind of the guard, the soldier of the Skeksis. He has battle damage fighting, maybe other Skeksis that have tried to rebel, Gelflings, what have you. So I'm going to have to go ahead and try So this part here is completely gone, and it was eventually replaced. Oh, sorry. This part here is all completely gone. The front portion is here, and it was replaced with the metallic piece, which is why he is missing his teeth on this side, and so on and so forth. Not necessarily here, but this was part of the reconstruction. So let me go ahead and start to tackle that and get this piece on, and I'll come right back in and show you the results, and then we'll move on to the next portion of what I'm going to work on. Alright, well, surprisingly that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I went ahead and got it on, and it works out very well. Let's go ahead and try it. Let me go ahead and give it a little pull. Yeah, give it a little pull so that you get that sneer there, exposes more of the teeth. Then you release it, and actually you have to push in the cable a little bit more, and the spring kind of relaxes a little bit. So yeah, it still needs a little bit of small work to get it to do exactly what I want it to do, for it to return back to normal once you get it to snarl. But that shouldn't be too difficult for me to probably work on. I just need to kind of smooth out a little bit of the 3D printed piece that actually that's being pulled. But I mean, as you can see right here, the movement is very, not going to say realistic, but I mean it does a real good job. It does a lot better job than I actually thought it was probably going to do. It's pulling up quite a bit of the material, aka the flesh. It really kind of looks like it snarls. In fact, you get a little bit of extra movement that I'm thinking that would be perfect, if I kind of pull it in and out like that, like breathing almost. Yeah, just right there. It's not snarling, but you can kind of get, like this here is an open cavity, and it get a breathing effect almost right there. So just that little bit of extra movement that we can get into it in a way to manipulate the cables will bring this character a lot more life. Now this side right here, I don't have it all the way down because this is going to be covered in metal. Or it's not actually going to be metal, it's going to be utilizing this paper right here, as we can see, but we'll touch that again and come back and visit that a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and start working on the eyebrows, covering the eyebrows and covering here, but I'm also going to go ahead and try to come up with the method of covering this, because if this piece is going to remove, the material that is going to be connecting the flesh from here, from the cheek down to here, is also going to have to be removable as well. Same thing with the back. If I want to work on the back, there's going to have to be some way for me to, almost, open up the hatch, so to say, here in the back, so I can get back in here to do any kind of adjustments or repairs or anything that I need. So let me go ahead and, just so we can see, get a better understanding of what the character is going to fully look like, let me go ahead and do the eyebrows and do the initial cheeks, and I'll come back in to tell you what I have planned on this in just a minute. But let me go ahead and do this portion here first, and I'll be back. Okay, everyone, and what is a few days for me, but only just a few moments from you, I've actually got quite a bit done. I've got both sides, as you can see here, with the skin on, and for the most part, the eyebrows do work to a certain degree. It's one of the natures of this project here, to where some things work out just the way that I've wanted it to, such as with the eye blink mechanism. Other things work better than what I expected, such as with the snarling effect that I demonstrated earlier. The eyebrows falls underneath one of those categories to where it's not working just exactly the way that I was wanting it. But it does give a little bit of movement, as you can probably see there, and I think that little bit of movement should be just enough to where it kind of changes the expression just just enough to where, it's not too static when you see it on camera. But it has a lot of material hanging off in the back because I'm trying to figure out how I want to have this all ran and draped and everything. And I had to actually do something different with this part here. First off, for this particular type of foam, that masking tape was not sticking to it, despite my best efforts of trying to get it to stick. It wasn't working, so I had to go a different route. So what I did was, instead, is I took some scrap cloth and laid that on top and used a marker to draw my pattern on that. Then I transferred that cloth pattern onto the paper that we've seen me draw the other patterns on, and then copy that onto this material here. And here we are. And I went ahead and purposely put more material than I really needed, because I'm going to go from this point to trimming it, cutting it, and attaching everything accordingly. It's going to give me some areas where I can put in some wrinkles. It's not going to have as much wrinkles as we'd have here on the eyes, but there will be some wrinkles in some areas that I'll be able to work with. So I still need to try to figure this out, but for right now I just kind of tuck that in so you can kind of see how that looks. And that side's a little bit better because I got, more of the beak there and everything. But what do y'all think? Now, I will say, and y'all probably noticing the same thing that I'm noticing, is that this particular area of the flesh here, it's much too shiny, it looks too new, and I completely agree. It looks a little bit too fake, a lot more, shiny and, than what skin should look like. But that's going to be okay, because when I get done skinning this, I'm going to go through and start aging it, weathering it, putting in textures and details, utilizing a variety of different techniques. For this particular part of the skin, definitely, I'm going to go in, and I got some scrap pieces here that I can use to experiment on to try to get it to where I can distress this to make this look less new, less shiny, more like old flesh and everything. Got several different ideas of what I'm going to try to do to see how I can manipulate this to the best of the abilities to get the desired effect that I want, including along with the beak and everything. But I'm going to try to finish skinning this first before I start working on that. So it's going to look like this. I do have some extra little details, as you could probably see here. I tried this here by having a little section of that scaly material, as we can see here. What I did is I cut it out kind of in a diamond shape, and I covered it with contact cement, folded it over, pinched it, folded over to get these overlays effect. Put that in, cut a hole in this skin here, folded that over, and glued that on. And I think that looks nice, because I think it just kind of breaks up the pattern as we see here. That's what I'm wanting to try to do, is break up that pattern as much as possible. And there's going to be other things I'm going to be putting on this, other little details, other little flair, just to try to get it to look a little bit more unique as a character, as well as more, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically just the character, so I still got a long ways to go, but we're actually starting to get there. So what I'm going to start working on next is I'm going to go ahead and start doing the metal portion of the beak here. That's all covered, that was battle damaged and stuff like that. So I'm going to start working on that. That would be the next episode. I might start also trying to work on covering this portion here, but this is going to be a challenge, which is why I'm stopping the episode now, because I have to come up with a way to where the material will be able to connect from here to here so it's all one piece, but I can still remove this lower jaw. So I'm thinking of trying to use some Velcro and have it to where I can Velcro it on and off. And if I use the seam line right here, I might be able to hide this material into this material, utilizing that seam line, and have it to where it's attached to Velcro. So all I do is just unvelcro it, remove the mouth, the lower jaw, and put on the alternate lower jaw that would be cable operated, and then Velcro that back in. But I want to experiment a little bit with that before I get that far. So with that being said, this concludes the episode. I know I didn't get a whole lot done, if anything at all, as far as the mechanism is concerned, but I want to really try to getting to where we get some of this texture down so y'all can see what this is going to look like, with all the skin and everything to it, so that character starts to come out. And plus also the character coming out is actually going to help me design the mannerisms of the puppet as I operate it, and also any further details that I may be coming on down the line, or may coming up with down the line. So I want to start trying to get that done. But the next episode, I want to do all that other skinning stuff. Plus, I'm also going to go ahead and actually work a little bit more on the mechanisms to try to get everything to work as they're designed to, as they're supposed to, and even probably go ahead and get started with the control mechanism that I'm going to be utilizing if I decide to have the mouth and the neck to be cable operated. So I'll be looking forward to that in the next episode. But until then, I am Daniel, aka Bbeltdan. This is a Skeksis that I have created that does not quite have a name just yet, but he'll have a name eventually. And this is me building him, and I want to say thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.